This is Marketing Fundamentals with Bob. Topic 8, services. Well, often when we think about marketing, we probably may first think about a tangible physical product. But as we've seen so far, every offering that an organization makes is a combination of both tangibles and intangibles. And likewise, as we've seen, many offerings both have a tangible physical product component and a service component. And as on this topic 8, services kind of leads us to understand the importance of this being that those offerings which basically consist primarily of a service component now constitute a little over 80% of our GDP. And we're not just talking here about the stuff like landscaping and childcare, about finance, law, IT, outsourced professional services, healthcare, sports, entertainment, and so forth. A lot of opportunities out there. So let's look at the service component itself and how that service component differs from the physical product component. First of all, the service is intangible by definition. And that is to say, I can't see it, feel it, taste it prior to purchase. The service component is not, like the physical product component, something of which I take actual possession and ownership. Now, recall how something we said earlier here about with physical products, what really sells them are the intangibles, love, prestige, affiliation, and so forth. That is also true with the service component. But we have one other challenge we've got to do with that. To make it more real, we've got to somehow try to tangibilize that intangible. So a lot of things we can do with this. Employee attire. That goes from IBM to McDonald's. I'm back in the old days at IBM. We had mainframe computers. You could walk through your office and you knew who the IBM guy was because he was just so immaculately attired, the dark suit, the white shirt, the proper tie. It just said IBM was part of their image. McDonald's too, same sort of deal. You walk in, you see the employees. How do they look? Their attire, is it clean? Is it neat? Is it well proportioned? Yeah, that's all part of it. The physical facilities of a building as well. Inside and out your building. Coming back to McDonald's, a few years back. McDonald's was having some problems with share of market and kind of trying to figure out what's going on, what are we going to do? First thing I thought about is, let's look at our menu. Maybe the competition is really outdoing us on menu items. They came to realize, no, that's not our problem. The menu is not the issue. Our physical facilities are the issue. There's trash all over the parking lots. Our restrooms really aren't clean. They went through a crash program. They're in there and cleaning up those restrooms on a regular basis, making sure they're neat. They're policing the parking lot and getting the trash picked up. Yeah, that's what they needed to do. That was affecting people's view of what they were doing about it. Another thing we want to do, to tangibilize these things, tangible symbols and cues. Think about some of these. Travelers has the umbrella. Kind of symbolizes what they do, doesn't it? Sort of similarly, Prudential with the rock. Close to home here, we've got a company here that does duct cleaning. Well, what does duct cleaning mean? So what they do to tangibilize it, they show a picture of a little baby sitting there. And here's the baby, who all around it are about these foot-high dust mites. Kind of bring up, this is what a dust mite is. It tangibilizes what their service is. Next characters, they're inseparable. And that is, services are simultaneously sold, produced, and consumed. Like for instance, for haircut, childcare, root canal, the service provider and the customer have to be there simultaneously. You have got to be in the airline seat when the plane takes off. Now, an exception to that, you may be having legal services performed by an attorney. You would not necessarily have to be physically present while the attorney was putting those services together. Here's another thing that's a characteristic and not a good one. Heterogeneity. Services can tend to be heterogeneous. That is, there can be a wide variety in service performance, especially in those that are extremely labor-intensive, like hair salons, childcare, vet. If you're dealing with vets, childcare, I'll bet you've noticed, aren't there certain people there that are just really especially good with your dog, and others that aren't quite as good? So you really don't want that kind of variation. We want consistency. So if what you're looking for, customer loyalty, recognition, value, if that's a function of the consistency of what you provide, of both the physical product and the service component. Certainly physical products like in auto parts, I don't want variation in auto parts. Services like H&R Block, I should feel like an H&R Block any place in the country. I should get the same services, same quality. And, as we've said here, the combination of physical products and services like at a McDonald's. So what marketers do is they're trying to seek to avoid this heterogeneity by having standardization in the service component. How do we do it? Hiring. We hire for attitude. We train for skills. And by the way, that's something to think about when you go on the job market. People hire for your attitude. They can train you for the skills. And also then to make sure that everything comes out consistently, standardized and automated procedures. Final characteristic, the perishable. And that is, you cannot warehouse and store a service. If it's not used, it is gone forever. So the plane takes off with an empty seat, it's gone. Motel has a night with a room not sold, that revenue is never going to come back. Lawyer sits around his office all day playing video games, he will never be able to get back and book that time to anybody. So what happens in service industries is a lot of times they'll try to address this through differential pricing, to get the business going in these low times. You want to go to London? You're going to find it's a whole lot cheaper to go to London in March than it is in the middle of the summer. Weather's not too nice in March. Want to go to Biloxi? Yeah, you're going to find a lot better motel rooms from Monday through Thursday there. Go to the movies before 6 o'clock in the afternoon. May as well. They'll let you in cheap because otherwise that place is empty. This is, by the way, an interesting point on perishability. Why airlines will tend to overbook the flights and compensate for passengers when they get booked. Now, here's an interesting thing, a little game you might be able to play. It might be worth your while. One plane going out of Pensacola that is always full is the Delta flight to Atlanta. It leaves here sometime 10 to 10:30 in the morning. It is always full. So let's say all of a sudden someone decides they need to get to Atlanta today. They're paying full fare. Well, you figure the average person on that plane probably paid, $300 or so for a round-trip ticket someplace. You want to hop on that flight today, an hour before flight time, and you want to get a one-way fare to Atlanta. Last time I looked, that fare was like $400, $500. I mean, it's extraordinarily expensive. So it's always full. So let's just say customer goes up to the gate and says, hey, I got to get to Atlanta this morning. Can you get me on this plane? And the plane is full. What are they going to say to him? What they're going to say is, you bet we can put you on this plane because you're paying full fare on this one-way ticket. Yeah, we'll get you on there. And we'll bump somebody and we'll compensate them. Now, here's how you play the game on this thing. I've been sitting on these planes when in my seat, and all of a sudden they come over the PA and announce, well, we're overbooked today. We need some volunteers. That's the word they use. Volunteers. We need volunteers today who are willing to get off this plane, take the next one, and it's going to be like 2 hours later, we'll get you there. And what they do is they give you a voucher good for a free round-trip ticket any place in the country, good for a year. And that sounds pretty good. And what they'll do is they'll tell you, here's the story. Here's the story on it. This is your flight's going out in 2 hours, no problem. Now, they'll tell you what the deal is. And if they say to you, fine, you get the next flight's 2 hours, you get a connection, you'll be to your destination 2 hours late, no problem. I've had a couple of situations not quite like that. I was in Philly both times. I was up there one time and they said, well, we could use a volunteer, but we can't get you back to Pensacola. We can get you to Mobile and we'll give you a van ride over to Pensacola. Hey, you got it. Book it. Another time I was there, though, they said to me, well, we don't think we can get you out tonight. You might have to spend the night in the airport and take a flight in the morning. No, I ain't doing that. But otherwise, here's what you do now. Don't wait till you're sitting on the plane and they ask for volunteers. When you check your bags, go in there and ask them right then and there, you guys going to need any volunteers today? I want to put my name on the list. When you go up to the gate, when you check in, again, I say, I've noted here, I'd like to be a volunteer if you need any volunteers today. They'll let you know if they can get you on the next flight or the next day or what have you. They'll tell you the story. So what they do then is at that time, they'll call your name while you're sitting in the waiting area. And of course, in this case, let's just say it's 2 hour wait. What a deal. No problem. So keep that in mind next time you think about it. Let's come now to the question of service quality, because that's another item that we do have to measure and look at in things. And service quality, as we're looking at it, is basically we're talking about the degree to which the performance matches customer expectations. We're not talking about just your specifications. They don't care what your specifications are. They want to know, did they get what they expected? So folks, especially in services, particularly in services, You always deliver more than the customer expects on this responsiveness, such as saying, go to the hotel business. We expect prompt room service, quick checkout. Room service. You're ordering a six-pack of beer. I have no idea. You can look down. There's a 7-Eleven right down the road. You can walk outside and get it. But no, some people want to order through room service. Six-pack of beer, you're probably going to pay 20 bucks for a six-pack of beer through room service. How long do you think it should take you to get that six-pack from the time you call room service? I would figure 5 minutes on ice, maybe something like that. Checkout. Checkout time in the morning. How long should it take you to check out? My experience in Marriott, 0. The bill is under your door 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. Other things, more than they expect. Transportation. You say, we'll give you transportation from the airport to our facility. Don't pick them up in a van. Pick them up in a limo. You have, as part of the specifications, we have a continental breakfast. Let them come downstairs and see a full breakfast buffet. Do regularly free upgrades on class of service. If you're a frequent business traveler, they know who you are. They know you're a regular flyer and all this. They're going to basically see you check in there. They know they get an extra seat in first class that's not sold today. Hey, we'll just move you up to first class for this flight today. You're renting with Hertz on a regular basis. They know you. They know you. They're familiar with you. You're one of our regular customers. Hey, we know you're renting the basic car today. We're going to upgrade you to the Mercedes today for no extra charge. Little things like that you can do. I know in my stays in Marriott, a lot of times I'll take a trip out, trip back. Many times on the trip back, because I'm that regular customer that was just there 4 or 5 days ago, they'll upgrade me to a suite, no extra charge. The suite's not being used. What's the difference to them? Auto repair. You come in. Here's an estimate. They come in. Here's the bill. The bill is $5 under the estimate, and you threw in a set of wiper blades. That's what we mean by giving them more than they expect. So when we look at services, let's take a glance now at core and supplementary services that really are what defines the service and makes it more valuable. You start off in the core as the basic commodity. That's where you start. That's your core offering. It's the basic consumer benefit I'm using in my example here. Overnight transportation and delivery of packages. That's the basic, the first thing. In a hotel, it's 4 walls, an air conditioner, and a toilet. That's about what you get with this. Then to that, you add all these extras, whatever it is, that makes it stand out above and beyond a core product. Those are the things that build the value. Those are the things that give you a differential advantage that's worth paying for. Now, within the service area as well, we have this thing of mass customization now. And for any product or service, customization makes the offering special for me. It adds the value. The problem, though, customization may not be economically viable. It might be cost prohibitive. This is where mass customization becomes very, very interesting. It applies technology to customize the offering that's cost effective within the context of standardization. So especially in this area, let's say in a product example, you may find that when you buy jeans off the shelf, they don't quite fit you quite the way you'd like them to fit you. They made a little too big here, a little too small here. That's no problem. We can find a way, because that in the customization, we're not just sending out 5,000 identical jeans. We can easily add a little here, take a little off there, and the computerization of the system. Yeah, we can make these jeans just special for you. Really interesting today in book publishing business. The old days of publishing books, they'd run off 1,000 copies of a given book, palletize it, take it in a warehouse, put it on the shelf, take all sorts of space for it. Doesn't make any sense. Today, what do they do with the computer technology we have today in publishing? You look and here's a given title. We need 5 copies of this title. Oh, we need 3 copies of this title. It prints off exactly the number of copies it needs. And it goes down the line, and each one is packaged and addressed to where it's going to go. No double handling, no nothing. On services, airlines should greet you by name, suggest related trips that you might take. If you took a trip up the Amazon one time, they should have you on some other kind of tour going off and checking the wilderness in Africa the next time. Basically looking at you individually. It's sort of like how Amazon does with me in books. I haven't been to a bookstore in 10, 12 years. Why would I? I can go to Amazon. I can glance through the books. They will suggest copies of books that, based upon what I bought and other people have bought, we've got 200 suggestions for you. It's mass customization. I get my own list of books. Now, one other thing to think about this in the area of public service organizations, they did a little bit of a twist on how we do things. We noted government and educational institutions in topic 7. Now let's kind of look here at public service organizations like social service agencies, special interest groups, advocacy groups, and so forth. Now, all marketing organizations start off by defining the organization's objectives. Identify the target market and develop a specific product offering. Public service organizations now must be very careful when they're setting up their objectives to avoid overly generalized objectives for the organization, like we want to help the homeless. Well, what do you mean help the homeless? What does help the homeless mean? Are we going to give them housing? Are we going to give them job training? Are we going to give them alcohol drug programs? Are we going to make Soylent Green out of them? I don't know. We've got to figure out exactly what it means and who. Younger people, older people, exactly what. Not all ages, not all the same. How are we going to do it? Another challenge I got in social service agencies. As opposed to marketing a regular product where we have a market is enthusiastically waiting for our offering, in a lot of public service organizations, I'm dealing with apathetic or even strongly opposed target markets. Anti-drug, responsible drinking messages. The person that wants to hear, that hears the anti-drug message and says, gee, that's a great message, is probably someone that doesn't need the message given to them. They're talking to the choir. The person that needs a message about dangers of drugs, driving under the influence, this person is going to laugh it off and not take it seriously. That's kind of a different twist on what we figure on marketing here. Compound by the fact that my target market may well not be identifiable, measurable, or accessible to me. Now, when I do this in these public service organizations, I don't want to pay for these messages that I'm sending out. What I'll do is I'll seek to promote them through PSAs, public service announcements. You've noticed these a lot of times in off hours. You're not going to see a lot of PSAs during the Super Bowl, but during the odd times, late at night, midday, and stuff like this, when they haven't sold out full position for the spots, you'll see a 30-second PSA, and the stations, the cable networks will run these as sort of part of their public service instead of getting paid for them. Anyhow, that's topic 8. And this is Marketing Fundamentals with Bob.